Hello, this is Keith George, and this is my Module 3 Special Education Interviews for EDL 853. Getting going here, the first question, what practices are in place for the child find procedures within our school? My principal and special education teacher's answers to this were pretty identical, so the response that I have under each of those is what I got from both of them. It's just a continuum here. The principal identified that most of the time it's teachers who identify a potential need of a student or from parent recommendations. When that recommendation is made to the school counselor, parents are contacted, and the school psychologist sets up a meeting, a sit meeting with teachers and other members of the school to identify potential modifications to put in place for 30 days. Teachers place these modifications for those 30 days, document the effectiveness of it, and then there's the second sit meeting. At that sit meeting, they identify the effectiveness of the modifications. If it seems that it is still necessary, we move on to testing. The IQ test is administered by the school psychologist. The academic level tests are done by the special education teacher, and the expression of language is carried out by the school pathologist, language pathologist. And then after the conclusion of the testing, there's a parent meeting where we then discuss whether we are going to recommend them into the special education program or if they do not qualify. The paraprofessional identified she is not involved in this process. However, she has been asked to generate additional modified assignments for teachers upon request, and that's probably in relation to this process. What do you find to be the most challenging part of your role with regards to special education, and why? Principal identified that teachers often feel that once they make that recommendation, that's the fix. That's it. But what she said the struggle is getting teachers to follow through and recognize that that is not going to be complete fix, and that we must continue to work for the success of our students, and that just because a para is in your room does not mean that they are the cure-all. She also related the fact that sometimes it's a struggle to find the right person to fill the special education positions. Not that we've necessarily had bad people, it's just that sometimes there's quite a bit of turnover in that area because of the stress levels of all the paperwork and so forth. Special education teacher identified the changing requirements handed down by the state. The continual changes cause challenges for her to meet those requirements. And then she said occasionally parents who don't understand the process or the timeline of the process can sometimes be a challenge. The paraprofessional identified that finding ways to ensure the success of all students is sometimes challenging. For one, she identified that it's what works for one student doesn't always work for the other, and that what works once doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work the next time. So she identified that as a challenge as she generates these modified assignments. What is the most rewarding part of the job? The principal identified watching the students grow and mature over the 3 years is a big reward. You know, in the classroom, we get to see them for that 1 year and see them grow and mature for that 1 year. But getting to know them over a 3-year period and watching them grow, I can see where there's a great reward in that. She also identified when students become more independent. They're no longer relying so heavily on the para, professional, and so forth. And then when parents thank the building staff for their work and so forth, that's always a big reward. Special education teacher identified that those light bulb moments are a huge reward in regards to the students. It's also a big reward when parents follow through with the program at home, and it's also beneficial when the regular ed teachers have great communication with her. She related that in her previous school that was not always the case. Paraprofessional identified when a student feels like they are able to accomplish anything that the other students are able to do. And when they are able to have those accomplishments and those light bulb moments, then they're more inclined to possibly help other students, and in doing so, they're boosting their confidence, she related. What advice do you have on supervision of special education staff, including paras, speech pathologists, and so forth? The principal said, listen and stay connected with the interrelated classroom teachers. You must know what's going on, stay involved. Support staff by providing resources, attending meetings, again, just maintaining that communication. And then expect the special education teacher to be informed of IDEA and the procedures that go along with it. SPED teacher identified, establish a clear expectations for paras in the classroom, when the speech pathologist should pull students out, and so forth. She expresses that it's important for them to ask questions for clarification if they do not understand how they can best help the student. And identify that the bottom line is we need to be working as a team to meet the needs of our students. Paraprofessional identified that some additional supervision over paras should be in place. She's identified sometimes paras are given too much or delegated too much control over some stuff, and then they get power hungry and make decisions that they should not necessarily be making. How do you work effectively with parents of special needs children? The principal identified that she treats them with respect. She's compassionate. She listens to their needs just as much as their children's needs, and just makes them feel like they're part of our school, which they are. And just relate to them that, hey, we're a team and we're here to ensure the success of your child. SPED teacher said that reports are sent home quarterly on the progress of students. Parents can access grades at any time or as frequently as they want. And if necessary, emails and phone calls are made between reports, maybe to provide praise or maybe to identify some struggles that are occurring in class. Paraprofessional said that most of the time she doesn't receive direct contact from parents, but it's through the special education teacher relating some of the information from emails that she can make adjustments and express how she is meeting the needs of the students or what adaptations have been made. How do you work with regular ed teachers with students with special needs? The principal identified that she tries not to micromanage the building. Therefore, she believes that the communication between the regular ed teacher, the special education teacher, and the paraprofessionals are adequate, and that if there is a breakdown in that communication, that she will step in and resolve issues. But she does state that she has expectations for those stakeholders and the special needs students. Special education teacher states that she shares the IEP information with the regular ed teachers, meets with them, discusses strategies and support techniques, says she remains in contact with them throughout the school year. She identified that most of the time that's through the paraprofessionals, as they're in the classroom with us every day, so they're kind of relaying information for us. And just continually discuss the effectiveness of the modifications with them. Paraprofessional said that she works to contribute ideas that will help students succeed. She expresses she contributes ideas to both the special education teacher as well as the regular ed teacher, continually checks in with the regular education teacher to make sure what she's doing is okay. She implements the ideas and monitors and discusses the effectiveness with the teacher. What is being done to ensure that accommodations and modifications are being met for identified students? This is a question I added here. The principal states that the special education teacher is responsible for making sure the modifications are being followed. And then furthermore, our cooperatives assistant director also supervises the special education teacher, ensuring modifications are being met. And then through meetings, IEP meetings, parent meetings, and so forth, we're ensuring that accommodations and modifications are being met. Special education teacher identified that she has her paraprofessionals track when modifications are made, when tests are read aloud, anything that has been done to assist the student, they try to document to ensure that it's being met. And then regular communication with those classroom teachers will help to ensure that those accommodations are in place. The paraprofessional also identified that she documents all of the modifications, real-outs, and so forth to ensure that and then cross-checks it with the IEP to make sure that she's doing everything within that IEP. What advice do you have for a first-year administrator? The principal said learn the special education process as soon as possible. In relation to that, understand the building norms, how we go about things within the building and how we communicate. Be patient, stay informed, be involved. And then she identified knowing the exceptionality of the students is important before administering discipline and so forth. So get to know the students, be out there in the hallways, be present. Special education teacher said be involved, be positive, not just the disciplinarian. Provide positive reinforcement and direction to special education students. She identified that sometimes with special education students, it may just be a matter of discussing the appropriateness of their choices or what their thinking was in that situation and so forth. And then the paraprofessional identified that ask questions of the staff. They'll be willing to help. They know the building and so forth. How do you describe the role of a special education teacher and building principal? The principal said that she trusts the teachers to do their jobs. She communicates with them. She feels like that is key. She stays connected in what's going on. She drops by for informal observations, carries out formal observations and evaluations, and discusses things with them during those times. And if ever there's a time, she asks questions for clarification and understanding, not to micromanage them, but more so to gain an understanding of their processes. Special education teacher said she must work with the administrator as a team to meet the needs of students. And she also says she relies on the administrator to be there for support, and when issues arise, she can seek advice and support from the administrator. The paraprofessional identified working as a team to help students and creating an environment where students feel the same as all the other students. So again, identifying that they must be working as a team, or we all must be working as a team for the benefit of our students, and establishing that least restrictive environment. What characteristics do you seek in an aspiring administrator with regards to special education? Be positive and a role model to the students is what the principal identified. Be a good listener, provide support, provide guidance, and help to build our special education program. Be respectful of parents and their concerns. Be compassionate for the parents. Be firm and consistent, and yet compassionate. The special education teacher said recognize SPED students as being just as important as general ed students. Judge each situation on an individual basis with fairness. And again, that's going to be that consistency and firmness. And then respect and support all staff. She identified that sometimes seems that the special education teachers don't always get treated equally as the regular education teachers. Paraprofessional said communication and consistency and positivity. Reflection and evaluation, one thing identified is throughout the whole interview process was that one thing that is key is communication. Communication. And that the fact that we are a team, we shouldn't be working against each other. We should be working as a team to resolve issues and to meet the needs of our students, and establishing this environment where all students feel equal and that they have the least restrictive environment in learning. Some responses were a little different, obviously, because they have different roles. Thoughts and projections going forward. Got to learn the special education process. Must ask questions for clarification and better understanding. Trust and support staff. Don't micromanage. Seek additional professional development opportunities in communication and collaboration. Thanks.